Hey, what are we here for today? Adversity. That's right. I said it. Adversity. Do you have a mess in your life? Well, your mess is your message. Adversity is a good thing. And you're about to find out from a person that's been through it all and is on top of the world. And you can be too. Get on. Let's get that music.
What is up, everybody? Steven, thank you for that intro. It's good to see you. Appreciate the high energy introduction. You are watching Real Talk with Brian Poduska. Your co-host, Steven Beaver, you just saw him a second ago. He's on the show. He's got an awesome guest today. I look forward to meeting her and getting a little deeper into her business and, I guess the queen of adversity, as Steven alluded to. So I need to hear about some of the reason why she got that moniker. But as I said, you're watching Real Talk with Brian Poduska. We are a show that we have Real Talk, but we also have a rotating business topic of the month. As Steven alluded to, adversity, and I don't want it to be all negative, right? I want to frame this appropriately. Adversity can be caused by something good as well. So we have talked about that this month, and we'll continue to talk about that on the show. If you haven't seen our show before, we are part of a larger platform called #The Difference. And what that stands for in a nutshell is the things that make the difference in business and life. Sorry about that. So the difference is in existence because Lyndon Wilson, who's the creator, put together this podcast and radio show originally as just an opportunity to, again, have business owners, entrepreneurs come on the show, spotlight their business, and then also allow them to talk about a relevant business topic. So we've kind of adopted that, put it into Real Talk here, and we have a rotating co-host setup. So as I mentioned, we have Steven on today. So Lyndon, let's bring in Steven and let him introduce himself. What's up, buddy?
Hey, man, you and me. Hey, I just want to remind you the good news and the bad news. The bad news is we're up against the world, okay? But here, the good news is we're winning. So, hey, that's all I'm going to say, right? So I'm excited about today. I'm excited about my guests. I'm excited about to talk about some of the things. I'm excited to hear some stories because adversity is the fuel of what usually happens to the greatest people out there, right? And people look at it as a negative, but like I said in the intro, your mess is your message generally, right? What you do is because of a mess that you had. You cleaned it up, you fixed it, and then you got on top of the world. So I guess I'm supposed to be talking about what I do. Here's what I do. I solve the problem of how to enjoy spending your money by making sure that you only spend your money on the things that you enjoy, right? And so that means no debt. Right? I mean, who wants to make their car payment? I mean, you got to, but who wants to, right? So anyway, that's what I do. It's fun, it's educational, and it's something that 99% of Americans need. Financial problems are the problems with most of the families out there. And if we could solve that, get rid of all your debt 2 to 3 times faster without making extra payments, building liquidity at the same time. I mean, all this is crazy talk, right? Hey, maybe it's not crazy talk. Maybe, Brian, it's real talk. Oh, see, I just tied you back in there.
Wow.
I've been practicing all week. Okay, maybe I haven't, but I think I have. So anyway, are you ready to hear about Genesis and all that cool stuff?
Please, let's meet Genesis. Bring her on.
Okay, bringing her on. All right, there she is. Genesis and I just met a short while ago, but we have got a lot of similarities. Something that she doesn't know is that my first daughter's name is Ashley. So you're already in the win, right? I mean, but anyway, Genesis has got some great stories. She's been through some stuff. But she persevered, and she's it's amazing I'm not going to steal her thunder. She gave me a whole bio, and I could talk to you about it. But you know what? I know for a fact she knows it better than I do. So without further ado, Genesis, tell everybody. Well, first of all, let's just don't do like me. Do it the right way. Let's tell everybody what you do, and then we'll go to how you got there. Right? How's that?
That sounds great. Thank you very much for the introduction. How are y'all today?
Happy and
awesome. Super glad to meet you. So yeah, Genesis, tell us all the good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Genesis Gomez. What I do, that is kind of a loaded question, right? Whenever I go to networking events and they're like, well, pick one thing. Anyway, what I do is I am a model, a mortgage broker, an author, a public speaker, and a mom, right? So I do a lot of different
M's
things.
In there.
What's that?
There's a lot of M's in there.
Yes.
Moms, model, mortgage broker.
Yeah.
I like it.
I believe that, we are on this planet to live and live abundantly, right? And so I don't think that I was meant for one thing. And that's what I always tell people. I can do multiple things because, there's 24 hours in a day. If you only sleep sometimes maybe 4 and then sometimes 8, right? You still have plenty of hours to get a lot of things done. But let's go into, I kind of fell into being a mortgage broker, quite honestly, into banking I would say about 11 years ago. I kind of fell into banking, and it's something you don't hear too often. But I ended up losing my job at the casino. I was having sleep-deprived seizures. I was, a single mom, and I was going to school. I wanted to be an attorney, and I was sleeping maybe 1 hour a night, 2 hours a night. That's not good. And evidently, this PSA, do not drink a ton of Red Bull like it's water. It's not good for you, right? So anyway, being that I started having those, the casino told me, well, we're not letting you go and you're not quitting. It's a mutual understanding. And so lost my job up there, and I've never really been without a job. And so I went and got the first one I could, and it was at a gym. I worked part-time, and I took that first paycheck into the bank. The banker and we had a good rapport. And so she was giving me kind of a hard time about my little paycheck. And I said, can you please just deposit my little paycheck, so I can pay some of the bills? And she said, you should work here. And I said, I'm not doing that for a living. That's not a thing that's happening. And she was like, no, I'm serious. So I went home and I prayed about it. And I applied that night and went in the very next day, dressed to the nines, introduced myself to the manager. She said, I haven't been able to review your application or your resume. She was like, but I really enjoy talking to you. And so I hope it all works out. And it sure did. And so ended up starting off part-time, but I worked full-time hours because I would go wherever I needed to go in the state. And I had lost my car at that time. So I was on the bus and, took my kids to daycare on the bus, and then took the bus wherever I needed to go, or hitched rides, or whatever it was that I could do in order to make that happen. And I ended up working my way up to be number 1 in the district, number 2 in the region, and moved on from there to a credit union where I got my start in mortgage. The mortgage manager at the time was real impressed with how I could so easily talk about mortgages to people. And I thought, well, everyone needs a home to stay in, right? And it's better than renting. So might as well talk to them about how to build their equity and build their financial future. And so that's kind of how I got started as a mortgage broker and worked my way up there.
Well, that's pretty impressive, right? So that's a short nutshell of your early career. So I hear it, just kind of rehashing what I heard. So job loss, and this comes down to adversity, right? Job loss, young mom, right? Financial struggles, challenges, and all those things I consider adversity, right? Mm-hmm. So what I'm hearing in that is, okay, just kind of your approach, your mindset, your personableness, right? I'll help you overcome or dodge or succeed when faced with adversity, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the unique things about me is I was kind of born into adversity. And so I've not really known anything different. I've not known of kind of an easier life. I have parents that were abusive and didn't really want me or love me. My mom, as a matter of fact, wished me dead at some point in time in my life. And I think with that, I've always had to kind of push forward, and I'm a dreamer. So I've always dreamed these big picture things. And I really do feel like God impressed upon my heart as a young child that I would one day be all of the things that I am telling you that I am today. I saw myself modeling. I saw myself up on stage. I saw myself writing books, and I saw myself telling my story and really helping people through whatever adversities they're going through, right? And obviously, when you're a kid, you don't understand what that was at the time. And over the past few years, everything has really started to come together, and doors have been opening. I wrote in my first book as a collaborator at the beginning of this year, and so far I have 3 books out. And then I was just asked to be in another one of the most influential people, which is going to be a 4-part series that is by Dale Carnegie, is backed by Dale Carnegie. So it's been a whirlwind, and I'm just embracing all of it, right? But I think, for those out there that have been through struggles, been through abuse, been through, depression, and thinking, oh my God, how can I even push forward? I think, you gotta take it down to the littlest steps sometimes. Really, throw the covers off, put your feet on the floor, go get ready, go brush your teeth. Those small little steps. I had someone tell me, she goes, you don't even understand. It's real sad that's my big accomplishment this year so far, is that I just get out of bed. And I said, you have no idea the strength that it takes to just get out of bed when you've been through what you've been through, right? And I think that unless you've been through that, you don't realize. And I think hearing that come from me, and then I backed it with my story, she realized, oh, she knows what she's talking about. I was sharing my story the other day with some women at a networking group, and one of the women goes, because I had been through different relationships that were abusive as well. I had been knocked out on a tile floor and knocked out on a concrete floor. And she goes to me and she says, honey, you have to make better choices. And I just laughed and I said, well, I make better choices now. I said, but you got to understand, when you grow up in abuse and you grow up with that kind of, parents who don't want you, and they talk down to you and they tell you you're nothing. And these are your parents. These are the people that are supposed to love you unconditionally, and they don't, right? You think that that's the way the world is. And until you start putting yourself out there and really taking chances, and it's scary. I've had my body, shaking at times, and being in a crowd or being wherever I needed to be, because I knew by doing that scary thing, it was going to get me where I needed to go. And I just believed in myself in that particular way, right? And then I started meeting more and more great people. And now I can tell you that I have a tribe of people that I love and adore, and that have opened doors. And I like being the stupidest person in the room kind of thing. And that's something that when Steve and I talked the other day, we resonated with, because I really do. I want to learn, I want to grow, and I want to be my best self. And so I think, putting yourself in those scary situations that are much better than the scary situations you're comfortable with, I think can really open up a world, and you can achieve your wildest dreams. Now I've been on the cover of magazines. I've had billboards in the middle of Times Square, my name lit up in lights in Times Square, which is super cool. I've gotten to be on stages and tell my story and write in books and be on this podcast, right? Stuff like that. I think that there's so much that's achievable. You just really, truly have to believe in yourself and have that confidence. So adversity isn't bad. It is good.
No, you're absolutely right. And the 2 things I heard out of that is, you're a dreamer, right? You dream big, and you didn't say this, but you're clearly a fighter.
Yeah.
You fought through a heck of a lot in the little bit that I heard there. And the combination of a dreamer and a fighter is a pretty strong combination. So watch the F out is what I got to say. That's pretty awesome. It takes, you're right. In a lot of cases, it takes a lot to get out of bed in the morning, depending on what you've been through. Right. And I can't remember, but it's somebody in the military who I can't remember who said this, but their main thing is the first thing they do when they get out of bed is to make your bed. The first accomplishment of the day is to make your bed. And I think backing that up even one step, you're right. I think the biggest accomplishment in some days is actually getting out of bed, right? It could be the hardest thing you do all day, because once you're out, then you got the world to tackle.
Yeah.
And somebody who's a dreamer and a fighter is somebody who can do that. So that's awesome.
I'll tell you my spin on what I heard is that she was scared and she did it anyway. That's the definition of being brave. Being brave doesn't mean doing the things that you know you can do. Being brave means doing the things that you're scared to do, but you do it anyway. And that's, I mean, in business and personal life and everything, that's the defining factor on success, is doing the things, the book, eat the frog first, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, you got to do it, and then that's the people that do it, they succeed, and the people that do it, they don't, and it's sad, but you got to face those fears, and I'll guarantee you, we don't know each other really well yet, but I'll guarantee you have not succeeded every time on the first time that you've tried something. True or false?
Absolutely not.
On that point, let's start diving into that, because I do want to hear, because you have done so many things. It takes a lot to leap into those, and certainly nobody's successful in everything they do. So that creates adversity. I do want to hear about that. Let's take a real quick break right now. Let our sponsors get a little bit of love, and then we'll come back and dive into that.
The difference is made possible by the following small businesses.
Real property management focus. An unmatched level of service to property owners, investors, and tenants throughout the DFW Metroplex.
Katie Owen, the insurance gal, helps overwhelmed Medicare-eligible people successfully navigate the enrollment process. When turning 65, retiring, and signing up for Medicare for the first time, it can be confusing. So it's important to get guidance from someone you can trust. Katie helps her clients navigate the enrollment process in a way that eliminates the feeling of being overwhelmed and unsure, and leaves her clients feeling relieved and confident. If you have questions about the Medicare process and want advice from someone you can trust, reach out to Katie at 972-943-3943 or at her website, www.insgal.com.
When you need a trusted roofing company on your side to help you out with storm damage repair for your roof, call Cook DFW Roofing. Serving Anna, Melissa, Princeton, Prosper, Van Alstyne, and all of the DFW area.
Red Branch Realty and owner realtor Ashley Gentry are true champions at every level. As a top producer, Ashley Gentry and Red Branch Realty truly embody their mission of being your supporter and partner in your personal real estate journey. So if finding the best representation possible in achieving the American dream of homeownership is important to you, give Ashley a call at 972-342-1869. WeatherTech General Contracting. We make your home renovation dreams a reality.
And by
Alan Lester, branch manager and team lead for the One Group, a branch of Town Square Mortgage. With over 22 years in the mortgage lending industry, Allen and Town Square Mortgage have many loan program options available, from conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, jumbo, and many investor and self-employed programs. So if you're looking for the best in the business, give Allen a call at 214-681-0234.
For more information about our sponsors and their services, or if you would like information on how you and your business can partner with or sponsor this show, or others like it, just check the show description or comments for the relevant links and contact information. And now back to the show.
All right, we are back. So, Stephen, I'll let you take it from here, because it was your topic of failures and creating adversity. So you take it from here.
Yeah, try again. So, you know what? I'm gonna share one of my things that happened in my life, and Genesis has heard this. I don't think our crowd has heard this story before, but I know I look tall on Zoom, but I'm actually 5'7". The doctors hate me. They say I'm 5'6.5", but they're haters and we don't care about them. And when I was in high school, I was 120 pounds. Now, I had a great vertical jump. and I could play volleyball like no other. And so my senior year, I decided to go ahead and get on the volleyball team, and everybody knew I was going to make it because since I was smaller, I was faster. I could dig, I could spike, I could block, I could do it all. And I had this killer serve. I did this backward serve that just was hell to return. And so, the coach didn't pick me, and the reason they didn't pick me was because of my attitude. And I said, what's wrong with my attitude? She goes, you don't get mad and upset and go after the ball. You're just like, oh, we'll get it next time. And I'm like, what? And so she picks this freshman. So what happened is in the interim, that year the homerooms had a volleyball tournament, 3 boys, 3 girls. And so we entered, and everybody was like, all right, Stephen, and so I was a captain, and I told them, I said, look, no matter what, we're going to play 6 people. So the girls are going to play their position. The guys are going to play your position. You're not going to hog the ball. You're not going to save the day by getting it for the girls. You're going to let them play. We'll win or lose regardless. And so we did, and we were doing great. And there came this time when we went to the home, we had to go against the homeroom that had 3 of the varsity boys on it. And so I gave the same thing. I said, okay, we're playing don't worry about them. We're playing our positions. And there came a time when they set me up for the spike, and I went up, and all 3 boys came straight up with the wall. And I came back and I dinked it right over them. And it went about 2 or 3 feet away from one of the girls, who had her arms crossed like this. As a matter of fact, they all did, because the boys were all over the place, stealing the ball from them, doing everything. And so she just let the ball thump, thump, thump. Now, I will admit it wasn't a fair game because there were 6 of us and only 3 of them playing. But we did end up winning. And so I was watching it, that we were in the quarterfinals. The varsity team was in the quarterfinals. And the freshman that she picked over me was just blowing it. He was getting madder and madder. He'd miss something, he'd get upset. He'd be like, oh, and I walked up to the coach and I said, a senior wouldn't make that problem. And now I was wrong. What I should have said was a person that has a positive attitude wouldn't have that problem. And so that back then, that adversity, that problem that I couldn't be on that team, actually turned out to where I didn't realize it at the time, but I realized that being happy was the key to being successful. And at the same time, it was the start of my leadership, because I was the leader of the team. So if those 2 things hadn't happened, TMV might not be here, right? So we don't know. So anyway, that's my story about a small adversity. It was not a big thing, but sometimes like you said, it doesn't have to be big things, and it's kind of fun, right? So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So
well, and that's certainly like you said, and at that age, that could have been a big adversity for you, right? It's all relative as to when it happens. So I like that. Genesis, now you've been in multiple different lines of work and currently have multiple things going on. Do you have any examples where you started out, it didn't work?
Before we get into the deep and dark side, Genesis, we haven't talked about this, so I really want to know, because you have picked the hardest profession out there, the most detrimental to your ego out there, and that's modeling. So,
I thought you were going to say being a mortgage broker. That's pretty detrimental to your ego.
Right about now, that may be true.
I mean, modeling it attacks your ego and everything else out there, and so I would like to hear the story of the little girl and what happened and then you went into this area, especially since I know a lot of the things that happened in your past. This would be the last thing that I would think of someone that was in the situations that you were in, that went into this profession, which was actually, if you think about it, 180-degree turn from who you were to who you are now, which is very motivational. I want you to tell this story because, as you know, I've done a lot of work with women's resource groups and stuff like that, and assault prevention workshops, and I think a lot of women would love to hear this story and say, "Wow, I understand. There's something else I can do. Mimicry is 95% of learning. And so if you can tell that story and how you got to where you are now, I think you'll save some lives personally. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons why I continued pursuing it through all kinds of different things. So
I know I put you on the spot, and you know what? You don't have to tell, all, but just whatever you feel comfortable with. Because but I'm telling you, when we talked and you were telling me the stories, I was like, damn, we got to get her in front of people, because people need to know there's bad things that happen to people, but there's good things that you can change, right? So
you
just
can, and
take a deep breath and yeah.
Fully going back to you have to find belief in yourself, right? And if you have, I think we all have callings, right? And I think, you gentlemen might be able to resonate with this, but it's like, you can't 100% describe why you want to do what you do, right? You just feel it. You feel like you have to continue going. And some people feel that way. And some people are wildly talented in certain things. I can name, my sister is wildly talented artist. My mom is wildly talented artist, right? But they struggle with believing in themselves to push forward, and they want to do it, but that's limiting, right? Those limiting beliefs. So I'll go back. So, growing up, I'm tall. I have since shrunk as I've gotten older, but I, at some point in my life, was 5'11", and I've always been kind of a bigger boned girl, I guess. Even at my thinnest, I was still considered kind of on the bigger side. And I look back on those pictures now and I'm thinking that's crazy talk, but I digress. So I was picked on a lot. I was bullied at home. I was bullied at school. I was told I was ugly. I had these big old Coke bottle glasses, stringy hair, big old gap in my teeth, acne galore. As a matter of fact, I had somebody, I have a scar on my lip because some guy in school, I think it was middle school, he chucked a basketball in my face and busted my lip, and because he said I was so ugly. But it was one of those things where, again, I kept seeing this vision, and I kept being like, no, I can pursue this too. I'm not so ugly that this is a thing. But there were times of crying in the shower or in the closet or wherever I was, right? And thinking, well, maybe I am all of the things that everyone is telling me I am, right? And believing that. I mean, I think it would be hard not to if it's coming from multiple places. And so, but there were people that came into my life that, sometimes they would be like, oh, wow, you're so beautiful. Or, wow, have you ever considered this? I'm like, yeah, actually it is a dream of mine. And they'd be like, well, why don't you pursue it? But those people weren't anybody I know. It was just, random people. So anyway, I've been to all kinds of auditions. I've been doing this since I was about 11, 12 years old. And I have been told I'm too skittish, I'm too tall, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, I'm too short, I'm too whatever, right? I've heard all of it. And I think you were asking me this question, I was making a face because I could think of a million times I could have said, I'm not doing this anymore. And there have been times where I've definitely hung up my hat and said, I can't go through this anymore. I can't hear no one more time. Right. But maybe there's just something wrong with my brain. I would just get right back up and I would just go for it again and be like, well, I haven't heard no enough times, so I'm just going to go try again. Let me hear no from one more person, and then I started hearing some yeses, and then throughout the yeses, I heard no's again, and till it's been, I think, as my kids got older, because I had to hang it up for a little bit when my kids were little. I did some modeling. I worked on a movie. I was an extra, and I put together the clothing and did some makeup. And so that was pretty cool. But, it was scattered here and there. I mean, my kids were my priority. And this is definitely a hard profession to continue pursuing, especially when you hear all of the no's, to your point, Stephen. So it was, to full transparency, my daughter ended up getting pretty sick and she was in and out of the hospital. And there were some times that I couldn't even go see her, and depression hit pretty hard. And I needed to find something for me. And I know this sounds crazy with everything I just told you with the no's. I really enjoyed modeling. I enjoyed it when I was on set. Anytime I would hear a yes and I could be on set and I could do all of the things and I could meet the people and even the snarky girls, it was funny to me, you know, and I felt strong every time I overcame, every single time I got back up, every single time I pursued that yes, every single time that I would hear that yes, I would be on set, it would just felt like magic. And I could put these creative things together with these other people, and it was this big team. And so anyway, my daughter got sick and I had to find something for me, and I remembered that feeling that it gave me. And so I went online and I was looking, and I reached out to some people and seen if they knew any photo shoots or anything coming up. And I reached out and I went to a photo shoot, which is oddly enough, it was in a graveyard, and I was dressed up like a queen. It was kind of a fantasy photo shoot. And I left there shaking and I cried a little bit, and I was like, but it was good, you know, it was cathartic. And the rest is kind of history. I just kept going. I mean, I still hear no to this day. I just went to an audition 3 or 4 weeks ago, and the woman said I didn't have enough experience. And then I went to an audition a week later for Wilhelmina, and they said, it sounds like I have a ton of experience, and they sent me a contract within less than 24 hours. Right. So I think that it's, and they're waiting for me right now to make a decision to go with them or not. Right. I think that it's interesting because people hear no, and then they think, well, that's it for me. And then there's people that are hard-headed like me. And I just like, oh, it's okay. I'm going to hear no a few more times until I get the yes that I want.
Would you say that it's not how many times you get knocked down, but it's how many times you get back up?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this life is so short. I've lost some people. I lost my niece. She was 7 years old when I lost her about 3.5 years ago. And that really solidified what I'm doing in life, right? It's short. Life is so fleeting. You never know. And this may sound morbid, but I've come to terms with, if I die tomorrow, I want to say that I gave it my all. I tried the best that I possibly could, and I experienced everything, and I lived while I lived. Right. And I think that that's empowering. I have goosebumps as I'm telling you guys that, right? It's just, if you can live. Who cares what anyone else thinks of you? It's none of your business, right? We hear that often, but I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't resonate, but it's none of your business, the negative things people think about you. If you're doing the best you can and you show up every day and you get up and you fight, you're living your life. And if it's the smallest accomplishment of you brushed your teeth today, good for you. You brushed your teeth today. Celebrate that little win. And as you celebrate yourself, it gets more and more empowering. I mean, I've recently won a pageant, and I won, honestly, the swimsuit competition. I won the swimsuit competition at the biggest I am in my life right now. And that kind of blew my mind. And I won the spokesmodel competition, and I miss a supermodel, right? And it was pretty cool for this pageant. I would have never done those things. I would have never seen my name in lights if I didn't get up, if I didn't try again. If I would have believed all of those people that said I was nothing, or have the beeper ready, that I was a piece of shit. Like, I don't know where I'd be today. I wouldn't be the person that can tell all these people, you got this, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Just believe in yourself. Not everyone's going to celebrate you. Like I said, winning those things. I love my husband, but he doesn't celebrate me, right? He'll go, cool, good job. There's no flowers. There's no balloons. There's nothing. There's no dinner. You know, it's me. I have to be proud of me. I can't put that on anyone else, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. And on that note, we do have to take another break here really quick for some sponsorship stuff. But let's come back and dive into more of that, because I think that mindset of, death and dying. We talked about that last show too. So we'll bring that full circle. But let's talk about that on the back end right now. Let's break. Lyndon?
Okay.
The Difference Radio, live stream, and podcast. The voice of small businesses and the communities they serve.
Over the last 24 months, The Difference has evolved into a powerful internet media company that helps small businesses and local communities and nonprofit organizations create, produce, broadcast, and distribute a variety of shows, all designed to empower our communities, the businesses, the people, the places, and the events that make our cities, communities, and the folks that live there so very special.
With almost 1.5 million viewers and listeners in the last 2 years, The Difference and its unique strategy of positive impact branding has helped communities and small businesses be seen, be heard, and be remembered.
In a world that is consumed with negative press, media manipulation, and propaganda, The Difference, along with many others who believe in and support The Difference, understand that there is no better way to make the difference in our communities than to highlight the unsung heroes and high achievers that call our towns and communities home. And we wanted to create a platform that does just that. One that brings awareness to and reminds folks of the goodness that lives within so many of us and our neighbors.
And don't forget to hit that like, follow, and subscribe button and tune in each week so you can experience The Difference.
All right. We are back. For those of you, again, who don't know what The Difference is, come check us out. We've been a growing community over the last 3 years, shooting for over 3.5 million views, I believe, this year across all the shows on the platform. A lot of great community growth and really sharing within the Difference community. So there's a lot of ways to get involved. We've got some really cool new shows coming up with community differences, which we may talk about a little bit later if we get Nathan to join us. But so lots of good stuff to come on The Difference. Now back to the topic of adversity and what we're talking about on today's show. Genesis has shared a lot of just deep, passionate stuff that I've really been frankly inspired by, right? I've heard, vulnerability is kind of step one. Surrounding yourself with the right team and people has come through as something that's helped you through a lot of the things that you've been through. Obviously, you're a passionate person, you're a tenacious person, and you've dealt with a lot of just your personal perseverance. The no's and taking the no's and throwing them out, and not worrying about what other people think. That's something that us as younger folks, sometimes we never escape that later in life. And I think that's an important message to hear. So I think everything you've shared has been fantastic. I did want to dive a little bit deeper into, since we are in the real estate, I'm in the real estate business and I work with a lot of folks in the mortgage industry. We just had the announcement of the Fed announcement of increasing rates another 0.75% on top of the one that they just did last quarter. I don't think it was news to the mortgage industry, so I don't think it sent the rates crazy. In fact, I thought I saw something that they might have come down a smidge, but whatever the case may be, it's not the last of the rate hikes. I think we're all pretty clear on that. Adversity-wise, I know it's thrown a big, a piece of adversity towards your guys' business in that there's layoffs across the board. All the refinances have pretty much dried up. Volume on house sales are flat to declining. So how have you guys in the mortgage industry dealt with that adversity of what's going on in today's macroeconomic environment?
I think that goes back to mindset. I mean, fortunately, I'm a broker, and so I'm not subject to any layoffs or anything. I feel bad for the people that have been laid off, but there has been some recruiting at my company because of that, and trying to help them understand that's why we make multiple streams of revenue, right? Coming in. So then we're not in a position where we're only relying on one stream of revenue, and then that maybe dissipates for a little while or goes away completely, because you never really know. But I think that shifting the mindset in regards to more of an educational piece, making sure that you can ride the wave is important. Again, I'm kind of recruiting right now. I have 2 people that they're going to be new coming into this industry. But if we think back, 2008 timeframe when all of that stuff happened, and I'm not saying that this is like that, I'm just using it as an example of when the sky is falling kind of thing, right? But they said, is it a good time to get in? And I said, well, if you get in now, what you could do is get trained and educated and make sure that you can see some of the hardest times, but don't give up your job that you currently have right now. You want to make sure that you have that revenue coming in, but use this time to educate yourself as much as possible. And then, you could be some of the people that succeed past this and tell those war stories almost, right? Well, I got in during this time where there were a lot of people that are getting out because they're just like, I can't deal with this. This is too much. But I think a lot of friends that I surround myself with, all they're really doing is they're adjusting their mindset. And again, going toward that educational piece and making sure that we are not projecting any kind of fear. And what we're doing is we're making sure that our clients and our business partners know, my business partners, you can vent to me at any time, right? And let's come up with strategic ways of how we can make sure that the clients who are not in our industry, who don't have Barry Habib as a resource or, Christine Beckwith as a resource, to make sure that we're telling them, look, we just have to ride this wave. It's going to come back around and it's going to be okay. It's going to level out. It's not going to be this fire all of the time. And it's actually, kind of good because we were going in a really weird direction there for a while, right? I mean, we knew it wasn't sustainable. So
yeah,
this is the thinning of the herds. This is interest rates needed to go up because when they're at almost zero, businesses that don't really make money, that don't really produce, can thrive. But when you have a 5 or 6 or 7, whatever interest rate starts to go up, you got to start making money, right? So it's a thinning of the herd. It's actually a good thing, in my opinion.
It is. Yeah, it is.
So,
it is a really good thing. And I think, the people that were kind of in this business for the wrong reasons may be weeded out, right?
Yep.
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, the environment that we were in for the last several years certainly wasn't sustainable. So it was a correction that needed to happen, and I think it's just that it's a correction. It's not a sky is falling. Like you said, it's not 2008. There's certainly different drivers, but of course we have different problems to solve as well than we had in 2008. So thank you for that the business insight. So how do people get in touch with you from a mortgage perspective? Whether it be looking for mortgage help or, as you mentioned, potential side employment or full-time employment?
Yeah. So they can always email me, genesis@fitlending.com, or call me, text me, 720-585-7600 is my phone number. And then find me on any social media platform is Model Mortgage Broker. I do share a lot of my modeling successes and pictures because that's fun, right? But I do have some videos that come out to educate and make sure. I have one that I just posted not too long ago that was in regards to, look, the sky is not falling. It is not 2008. It's going to be okay. We just have to ride the wave again, right? It's just making sure we stick with that mindset of anything can happen at any time. Life is not going to stop happening to us, but it is how we show up and respond and react to it that makes the difference.
That's huge. It's not what happens to you that matters. It's how you respond to it that matters. I think that's a huge statement there. And probably most people don't think of it that way. Bad things happen to my best friend for over 30 years, adopted a child who was going to be in the Olympics. I mean, it wasn't a matter of if, it's a matter of when she was going to win the gold medal. She was just that good. At 14, she was beating most of the 17-year-olds. So, and some of the 17-year-old boys, which is unheard of. Wow. And she took her life.
Yeah.
And it was just a teenager emotional thing. And I've got 5 kids. You've got a couple yourself, and she didn't do anything different than any of us other parents. It was just an emotional knee-jerk reaction. And if they'd have been in the room 30 seconds before, it wouldn't have happened, because she'd been like, what are you doing? I don't know. I'm crazy, but that stuff happens, and then it affects you, right? I mean, the things that happen to you, we're not going to be able to get into those things. Maybe we should have you on for another show, but just saying, a little plug for you there. But these things happen. And she told me, I was the only person there that was, when they had the family only there, I was invited. And she said, Stephen, you've got to write me, because, as a coach, I write systems. That's all I do. And she goes, you've got to write me a system to get out of this, because she was our why. Yeah. And now we don't have a why. And I didn't, 30 years ago, and she was the one that actually, people that know my story, she was the one that actually got me in the coaching business, forced me into it. And I did not realize that God had a plan, that I was going to help her through this situation, right? Yeah. And it was not easy for me to write that system. I'll tell you, and I've never written a system like that before, but we're working on it. We talk every week, and we go through it. And then all of a sudden, there's some positive things happening for her, right? I mean, it's not going to ever take away from that, but got to move forward. You got to get back up, right? It's not how many times you get knocked down. And by the way, I can give you the math equation for that. It's 1. You only need to get up 1 more time, right? You get knocked down, you only need to get up. All my kids know that. They're 4 out of 5 are black belts, 2 of them are secondary black belts. And that was always a thing. How many times do I have to get up? You only got to get up 1 more time.
Yeah.
Just 1 more, right?
Well, on that topic, and you touched on that earlier, Genesis, at the end of the day, right, we're going to get knocked down, and we're not going to get back up. Just nature, you're going to die, right? That's unfortunately, that's the truth, whether we like it or not. Last show we had, it was either last week or 2 weeks ago, gym owner in Frisco, Mark Zalmanoff, was on as a guest, and I asked him, or the other co-host Mark asked him, what drives you? What keeps you going every day? And he said, ironically, it's death. For the exact same reason that you said, Genesis, is that you don't know if you're going to wake up the next day, or you don't know when that ultimate time is going to come. So live your life to the fullest, with the anticipation that if you don't, then you're shorting yourself, right?
Yeah.
And that, it's ironic, but I think beautifully ironic that you said the same thing that our previous guest said, and that it's sort of morbid, but it's really not, when you think about it, is that, everybody's going to die. It's what you do when you're not dead that defines you. Yep.
Father Time is undefeated as far as I know.
And to touch on the subject, I mean, Stephen, that's the thing, that girl was incredibly talented, right? I'm sure she was beautiful, smart, loved, right? And again, it is a morbid subject, but it's just a fact. I think a lot of people that end up dealing with suicidal ideology, they think there's something wrong with me. And in a sense, there's something like not firing right in your brain, but it's not always that way. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you all of the things I've been through and not tell you that I've dealt with that myself. I know how dark our mind can go. I know that place. And that's where, with some of the things I've experienced, and then, again, losing my niece at 7 years old was very impactful, right? I mean, I've lost a few people, but that one was really impactful to me. And I was just like, gosh, whether it's by our own hand or a semi truck or cancer or whatever it is that hits you in life, it could come at any time. And sometimes that poor girl, you're right. Maybe, catching her 30 seconds earlier would have changed everything. And it very well could have. But what if the next time she went dark, nobody was around? And I think that's why it is so important to surround yourself with great people and make all of these minor achievements too, especially when you deal with and you struggle with mental illness, right? Yeah. But wouldn't it be better to do everything you can in life again, and then, you go and you did everything you could. You've experienced everything you could, and you left some kind of impact on the world. I know I've left an impact on my kids alone, if that's it, if the kids in my life I've left an impact on, I've done something great, right? But if I can touch the masses as well and leave an impact, and my message can resonate with them, and I can save a life by that message, that is all that matters.
Right on.
That's a perfect message. And with that, we do have to take one final break, and then we'll come back on the back end. We'll talk about a little bit about that, surrounding yourself with the right people in the right community. We do have a special guest coming to join us on the back end as well. So with that, let's go to the break right now.
The Difference Radio, live stream and podcast. The voice of small businesses and the communities they serve.
Over the last 24 months, The Difference has evolved into a powerful internet media company that helps small businesses and local communities and nonprofit organizations create, produce, broadcast, and distribute a variety of shows, all designed to empower our communities, the businesses, the people, the places, and the events that make our cities, communities, and the folks that live there so very special.
With almost 1.5 million viewers and listeners in the last 2 years, The Difference and its unique strategy of positive impact branding has helped communities and small businesses be seen, be heard, and be remembered.
In a world that is consumed with negative press, media manipulation, and propaganda, The Difference, along with many others who believe in and support The Difference, understand that there is no better way to make the difference in our communities than to highlight the unsung heroes and high achievers that call our towns and communities home. And we wanted to create a platform that does just that. One that brings awareness to and reminds folks of the goodness that lives within so many of us and our neighbors.
And don't forget to hit that like, follow, and subscribe button, and tune in each week so you can experience the difference.
All right, we are back, and if you're paying attention during that last commercial break, we were talking about the difference and what that what that community is a little bit. And as I mentioned before we went to break, we do have a special guest that we did want to bring in. We've talked a lot of really heavy stuff today, which I think is fantastic. Adversity is the topic for those who haven't been on the show the entire time, but adversity and overcoming adversity. And I think one of the themes that we're pulling out of today is, surrounding yourself with the right community and the right people to help you through that adversity. You can't always do it yourself. So, Lennon, I don't know if Nathan's ready to come in, but we do have, there's the man. It looks like he's mobile. What's up, Nathan? How are you, buddy?
Man, I'm good. I'm in my mobile podcast studio, also known as my wife's car. So, Lennon texted me. I'm like, yeah, I'd love to pop on. It sounds like I caught a little bit of the show. Can't wait to go back and listen to it because I just from what I heard, I've had some of that effect in my life, kind of with a good friend of mine growing up, and just like to hear kind of how everything started this conversation, and so I'll definitely be circling back. But good to be here, guys. No,
that's awesome. So thanks for joining us. And like I was saying, I just want to get we wanted for you to jump on if you had time to do it to just talk about you are the host of the Community Difference Plano. We also have other Community Difference shows that will be launching here shortly, whether it be Rockwall. I know McKinney. I personally am involved and will host the Frisco Community Difference show. So wanted you to come on real quick and talk about what that show is in a nutshell, and then how that is truly a community, right, and part of the Difference community.
Yeah, when we talked with Lyndon, when Lyndon and I talked originally, and I think this may have been before. I can't remember before we brought you into the discussion, Brian, or not, but we wanted to obviously grow the Difference. Lyndon this has been his baby from the beginning, now going on 3 years, and just he has a heart for people, has a heart for small business owners, but more than that, he has a desire to help people just get to know one another, right? To build relationships, to not take advantage, but to realize the potential that we have in our communities, right? And so the community shows, and I think Plano's been doing this pretty well, is an effort to first of all, kind of small businesses, right? Help you be seen, be heard, be remembered, but have the chance to understand, why are you impacting your city, right? What is the difference that you're making within your city? And that's a great place to start. But then we want to take it larger from there and start connecting with school boards and athletic departments and teams and first responders, nonprofits, the city leadership in and of itself. Just highlighting stories of things that are really kind of under the radar, but making a really big impact, whether it be, who got valedictorian at, one of the major Plano high schools, to, what's coming up in new developments in Plano that are impacting people, to amazing stories that nonprofits are doing, just things that you don't normally, we talk about always getting inundated with negative news, right? We have no shortage of negative news. So being able to bring what is normally, right, there's so much good in our communities, right? So being able to highlight those things, bring a synergy about community life and helping people that are citizens, that are thinking about maybe moving to a particular community, in my case, Plano, to know what is it that's great about this community, what does it have to offer, but also helping the people that come on the show realize the opportunities, maybe the unrealized opportunities actually that they can do in building relationships with different business owners, different people, and just really providing a service to the citizen. So it's really there's really no bounds to the expansion that I think we can do and we can accomplish. And so, we're so excited to launch Frisco, and then of course Rockwall in September. I think McKinney shortly after that, and a couple more shows by the end of the year. And man, it is just it's catching fire in a really good way, I think. So we're really excited to see where this goes. Obviously excited to have you as the host of the Frisco show. But I mean, I'll just say this to your listeners, we're always looking for different types of partnerships, whether it be contributors, people that just provide some great content, have some connectors within any community, obviously sponsors and affiliates, but just we also want to help kind of share our vision and teach you as a business owner, as a community member, how we believe that making connections and giving back and expanding your horizons in a sense are going to benefit you as a small business owner or just as a citizen of the community. So that was a really long-winded answer, but I tried to put everything I can into that kind of concise answer. But I hope that gives some sense of where we're going and what we're looking to accomplish.
No, I think that was what I would not say long-winded. I'd say comprehensive answer. So
okay, I like that better.
Yeah, thank you for that comprehensive answer. And as always, great to see you, Nathan. Thanks for jumping on the show real quick. And we look forward to the next Community Difference Plano, and I look forward to all the Community Difference shows because I do think there's a lot of great stuff going on there.
My pleasure. Good to see you guys.
All right, man. Take care. And bringing it back to making the difference, Genesis, you've shared some really personal stuff about yourself today, and I know that's not an easy thing to do. And it goes back to that vulnerability factor, and that's always kind of step one, right? And I thank you for coming on and sharing those personal things about yourself, because by sharing those things, you are making a difference in somebody who's listening's life, right? And whether we've all gone through some sort of adversity. You've gone through more so, I would say, than a lot of folks, and you've overcome it. And I think that's an inspiring story. So thank you for coming on today. I want to give you guys kind of a last, we'll wrap up the show here because I think we've only got a couple minutes, but Stephen and then Genesis, if you guys want to say any last things before we do have to time out, would appreciate hearing from you.
Yeah. Do you want to go
ahead.
Stephen?
No, go ahead. I'll end it.
I just wanted to say that, yeah, I'm sharing my personal story, and that is because I know that my calling is to reach out to those people and make a difference. I will say that in my current book that I'm leading up, I am looking for authors. And so if you feel like your calling is to help other people by your story, I want to hear from you. And so, please reach out to me. You can reach me at that email or that phone number that I provided earlier. And I hope to hear your story for sure.
Right on. Jim Rohn says you're the sum total of the 5 people you hang around the most. That's not only mentally, that's financially. And then I'm in another organization, and one of the guys there said, actually, you need to look at the 30 people that you're around, because it's the little things that nitpick and get you, right? Those 5 people, you're like, yeah. But then you've got 10 or 15 people that are just little piranhas, take a little here, take a little there. That affects you even more. So you really need to start insulating yourself. And I have the 3 5s, right? There's people you can be with for 3 days and you just not enough time. There's people you can be with for 3 hours and you're like, this was great. There's people that you could be with for 30 minutes. That's your friends that you're kind of still friends with. And you can do a lunch with them, but that's about it. Then you've got your 3-minute people and you're just at the water cooler just waiting for that time to be over. And then you got the 3-second person where you're just like, oh wait, I got a thing, gotta go. And I always say, get rid of the last 2 that I talked about, the 3-second and the 3-minute person. Don't even instigate or let them get in your lives. Every once in a while, if you want that 30-minute person, but the more people that you're hanging around with that you could spend 3 hours or 3 days with, the faster you're going to grow.
Love it. Good stuff. Well, on that note, we are actually just over by a minute or so. So we are going to have to sign off here. But again, Genesis, thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing all your personal stories. It was very inspiring to have you on the show. So thank you for your time. Stephen, as always, great to see you. Another great guest that you brought on. I look forward to the next one. Until then, let's try to stay cool, because I know I'm sweating in my office. We do have an air conditioning issue.
I'm dressed for the occasion. What are you talking about, baby?
Thank you all so much. Thank you very much for this. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you guys all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.